call to order.
I'll move.
Okay.
Are we live, Brittany?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Approval of previous minutes.
Okay, I'll read the previous minutes. This is from December meeting. The regular meeting of the Historic Zoning Commission was called to order at 5 p.m. in the City Hall boardroom with Chair Rick Cook presiding. In attendance were Codes Director Brittany Fisk, Ellen Briggs, City Planning Commissioner Ken Suberling, and Norm Vetter. Absent were Alderman James Threet, Ray Amos, and Will Painter. Under new business, Mr. Philip Callahan, President and CEO of People's Bank and Trust, previously submitted a COA for new construction of a drive-up ATM to be erected on property owned by the bank located at the corner of West Main and South Irwin Streets. This COA was reviewed and discussed in the preceding commission meeting held in November. As noted in the minutes from November's meeting, the proposal had been previously reviewed and accepted by the Manchester City Planning Commission. At the November meeting, the application was found to be in compliance with all aspects of the historic zone regulations with the exception of the proposed LED signage. It was proposed and determined to accept the application as submitted with the understanding that the LED sign question was still open and to be decided at a later meeting pending further discussion with other members of the commission absent at this meeting. At this December Historic Zoning Commission meeting, Mr. Philip Callahan, President and CEO of People's Bank and Trust, was absent. Mr. Kenny Sadler was in attendance to answer questions as they arose from the commission. Mr. Sadler also proposed a one-time acceptance of the signage as proposed in view of its, quote, ground sign design, that is, a freestanding sign unattached to any building structure. The members of the commission in attendance discussed the unanimous hesitancy to provide an exception/variance specific to this request due to the fact that by so doing an unfavorable precedent would be established. Brittany then explained that it was not within the commission's power to issue a code variance. Furthermore, the only course of action would be a proposal to alter the wording of the code as written by rewriting the ordinance, then submit it and seek approval by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Subsequent discussion voiced the doubtfulness of the commission taking this action. It was suggested by Mr. Sadler that Mr. Callahan be given the opportunity to present his case to the commission once more. The group accepted this request, and as of the meeting's close, the issue will be moved to be covered and voted upon in January's meeting. There was no further business to discuss. The meeting was adjourned at 5:29. The next meeting was planned for 2nd of January. Respectfully submitted, Norm Vetter, Secretary.
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Callahan, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to speak to it?
Yeah. I'd like to apologize for not being able to be at the last meeting, but we were having our community festival of lights at the same time, so I couldn't host that and be here, so my apologies.
Understood.
But anyway, I wanted to thank you again for letting me come forward and kind of share my vision with you and what we're hoping to accomplish with adding the sign. You know, we look at this as kind of a keystone corner to the historic downtown area, which we were a part of for over 100 years. We feel like that this is a huge investment for our community and for the bank, and this is something that we want to be proud of for years. It would also give the opportunity to help highlight and drive traffic for the downtown historic district. You can kind of see on the sign that the rendering that we sent around, this is one of the tiles that would be displayed. You know, we don't run on our signs, you know, CD specials or come see us for loans. Ours are more things to promote the community, you know, time and temperature, you know, safe on the square, things that we promote that are in the community's best interest and help highlight it. So that's what this sign is all about. And it's not the same size. I've heard comments that it's identical to the one that we have uptown, which is not true. This is a much smaller sign. This is a 4x8 sign. Ours is 5 by 10 up on our, on the main road. The reason I asked for a variance or change is, you know, this is not really, this is facing Highway 41, which will be projected out to it. It's also a new design, light design that can be dimmed down to 5% at night. So there's no brightness or anything that it would disrupt anyone that would live around the square. But it is a nice design. You can see from the rendering and kind of the one we have at our main office that it's all designed to go together cohesively and to help complement the expensive building that we're doing. And like I said, I would like to use it too to help promote Safe on the Square, you know, Veterans Day parades, things like that to bring the community together. And these are really designed to catch your eye and bring you to the area, not push you away from it. Is there any questions or that you may have about the design or?
So this sign will occasionally flash, correct to a
It
different?
doesn't flash, you can set it, and I brought Mr. Lawrence with Cook Neon Signs with me. You can rotate the tiles, it's not like a flash, you can design it, and Joel will let you explain more if you want to. There's different ways you can design it to rotate or flip.
Yeah, I mean, if you can think of it, it can basically do it, and it can be made where it just instantaneously goes from one static image to the next static image with no kind of transition, no kind of flash, no kind of light variance. It just transitions from one image immediately to the next. You could have transitions, animations. I mean, it can do as little as you want or as much as you want. It's very versatile.
Yeah, we haven't historically ran, you know, a lot of animation and stuff on ours like some of the banks or other businesses do. It's more just like, you can make it look old school, you can make it, you know, I wanted to promote shop local, you know, keep it local, shop local. I want to try to drive traffic down and revitalize downtown is the way I was envisioning it. You know, we hopefully have a new restaurant coming soon. This is a great opportunity that the city can benefit from it and the downtown area can benefit from it with no expense to them. We're putting up the expense to help promote and help the community. It's not cheap, and I'm sure it's something that if the mayor wanted it, he probably wouldn't want to spend it on his budget to have something down here. But I think it's a really unique opportunity, the way the land is laid out. You know, historically, it was a old gas station when I moved here in the 80s. You know, it's been a parking lot ever since we purchased it in the 80s. And, you know, I just think this is a great opportunity to really help Manchester shine and bring more people back to the downtown area.
Anyone else?
Mr. Cowan, as per the ordinance, it says that, part of it says, signs which incorporate any manner of flashing, moving, or intermittent lighting excluding public service signs showing time and temperature.
Yes, sir.
That's one of the things it says. You had mentioned that some of the things you would be showing besides time and temperature would be things like Safe on the Square. You mentioned that specifically, or events like that.
Yeah, and we can keep a lot of the tiles on it like this that says, visit downtown historic Manchester, and things to help promote or get people back in here. That's a community service that we do as a community bank.
Am I out of line asking you if you ever intended to use it for advertising for the bank itself, or is your intention to be just a public service sign?
Well, it would have our name on it,
Yeah,
of course.
Of course, I understand that.
Yeah, just
Sure.
People's Bank and Trust.
I do
And,
understand that.
you know, we
Okay.
run our tagline, people you know, people you trust. That's basically the things, but like in the morning, we run things like, have a great day. You know, we try to put feel-good messages to lift up the community. And make you feel good if you see ours in the morning. That's the
Okay.
way it runs.
Okay.
So it's not really a sales marquee, it's more one for the community. We get asked, to promote stuff for Veterans Day Parade, or we're a big supporter of our Christmas parade, things like that, which runs downtown.
Okay,
So that's what I want to use the sign for.
so, okay. All right.
It's not. like I said-
Exclusively,
Huh?
exclusively, it
Exclusive?
would be used for community, because, this is what it said, it's excluding, but you're saying it would be exclusively for the, public service and for the community.
Yes, I'm still gonna run my name,
Mhm.
People's Bank, but I also are using it to shop local and for things like Safe on the Square, to try to get people to come back downtown, shop local. It's not gonna be advertising other businesses, or it's not gonna be used to run CD specials and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, that was really my question, would you be running things like CD rates and,
Right,
and special
interest rates,
special
whatever.
programs for the bank itself as an advertising sign, and understanding, that would be a use for it, okay, but
It is.
but if your intention is to make it public service, then that,
Yes.
okay,
And I think anybody that's driven by ours in the last few years, that's what it's for.
okay.
We promote, Cancer Month and things like that. Safe on the Square and Children's Advocacy, things, Dusty Elam Foundation, things that really give back to the community is what we use our signs for.
Okay. Okay.
It is more public service, Ellen, if that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to underline what Ellen asked, would be that exclusively, is what your intention is?
Yes, sir.
It would be exclusively that, okay, okay. Understanding that the bank name is part of it.
Right,
Sure.
right. Yeah, I
Understand.
want our customers to know that this is our ATM
Sure.
to stop there,
Okay,
but it's in a nice way that, here we are, but we're also here in the historic district. I noticed the other day, and I drive by it every day, I have for 40-something years, all we have is a little black sign that says Historic Manchester District. And not being mean or anything, but I drive by it and I don't see it. It's black with little gold letters, so you don't see it.
yeah,
Well, this is an opportunity to really help put downtown back on the map and do it in a nice
Well,
way.
we've been doing that for a while.
What?
We have been doing that for a while, the businesses down there for the past
Right, but
10
I'm
to
telling you,
15 years.
when you come see the sign, it's black at night, you
Yeah.
come and see it,
Yeah.
it's dark.
Yeah,
And in most businesses, that's the way, you have to have light to bring somebody in. It's not as effective to paint it on a sign or, a building or something as it used to be. It's just people are more looking for a digital sign or something.
well, this is the historic zone, and
Right.
so we want to keep it historically appropriate, so,
Right.
um,
But there's other lighted signs around the square too.
mhm.
So it shouldn't be any different.
I drove around before I came in and looked at the signs that we do have on the square, and you have every single type of sign that a sign company can offer, except for a digital sign. There's signs in the historical zone that don't comply, and for some reason, they're there.
And
Yeah, a
there's
lot of
That
those
sounds like
signs
a
were
problem.
grandfathered in,
They
and,
look
yeah.
I've seen ones that have come up recently.
I think people aren't educated about this, particular commission, and it's not as old as as people, do you know, Norm, how long,
what is it, 2009, when it was?
so,
Roughly, it's been since we've lived here.
a lot of those
About
signs were
2009,
already
was it?
there before this commission existed. This commission is also backed up by the state. So, we're here to protect our heritage and our historic zone. and that's what we've been doing.
There are signs that have gone up after the zoning committee was put together that aren't in compliance.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to get in an argument, I just.
Well,
I'm not
that's,
either.
first of all, that's a problem, and that's the last thing we want to do here, is go against what it says in the
Well,
code.
we've written,
Right, I think he's more asking for a variance. I heard the last meeting minutes that said that this committee couldn't issue a variance. But there's mention of obtaining a variance in the historical zoning codes. So I was a little confused if, can you issue a variance or can you not issue a variance?
Can you respond to that, Brenda? Because
I don't feel that the Historic Zoning Commission could issue a variance, but the Board of Zoning Appeals could potentially issue a variance. I would have to look a little further in finding
So we
out
can't
definitions.
do it, we would just have to forward it to them.
Recommend.
You could potentially recommend it, but really, the grounds for a variance are, I don't feel like that this meets the grounds for a variance. I don't have that with me, but it's basically a hardship that the property has, and
It's pretty-
this doesn't necessarily
it's pretty
define a
slim.
hardship.
It's pretty slim, there has to be something
Topographical that is
unique
affecting
about this
your ability to do
case
what you want.
that makes it apply for a variance. That's probably the easiest
Section
way.
8, it says variances shall only be issued upon a showing of good and sufficient cause.
Right,
Yeah,
so
and
good-
there's-
if there's, within the Board of Zoning Appeals regulations, there's another page that talks about what qualifies as a variance, and it's based on topographical unique features to the lot.
Right,
And
right.
while this is maybe a
Unique
unique,
lot.
maybe slightly unique, but not, there's nothing that's prohibiting you from not doing this sign, or not advertising the bank. So I don't feel that this would be grounds for a variance, but I can't stop you from applying for one.
Yeah. But like I said, it's more of a public service sign.
Right, I don't disagree with any of it, I was just stating, grounds for variance in general, not in this case in particular, but, the grounds for a variance, like I said, are typically topographical and unique to the lot in relation to topography, or something that's prohibiting you from doing what you want based on the way the lot is laid out, or the way the lot is sloped, or something of that sort.
I mean, our business has been around 119 years, hopefully it'll be around another 100 years. So I think we're really committed, we're probably the oldest business in town, if not the oldest. You know, we've always tried to be good corporate citizens and give back to the community and help it grow. And this is one way that we feel like this meets our mission to do that.
And the sign will actually be facing 41, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And you've got signs, I know, Ellen, they're outside the historic district. Talbot County's got one. The Methodist has one, and then Old National has one too. So it's not like this would be the only LED sign downtown or in the historic area. Those were given the opportunity to be exempted from it. We were never given that opportunity. And you would think a parking lot would kind of been exempt years ago. But yeah, when the commission was formed, I don't know how some were allowed or exempted from it. If you're calling it the downtown area, they still reside in the downtown area.
just to clarify, the historic zone, the ones you mentioned, Coffee County Bank and the Methodist Church do not lie in the historic zone. Highway 41 is the dividing line.
Yeah.
Old National Bank was exempted immediately when the zone was formed, if I recall correctly. It was never part of the zone at the time that was being formed. They requested to be excluded, and that was granted at the time that the zone was made.
Yeah.
So those three signs that you mentioned technically do not fall in the historic zone. Okay.
But you don't think this building over here would be considered in historic if somebody was driving by?
The bank?
Yeah.
Well, whether or not I believe it feels it doesn't matter, they were exempted and excluded deliberately from the zone at their request when the zone was formed back in 2009. And that building has never, because of that exemption, it has never been part of the zone, technically.
And it's not subject to anything.
It
It'll
is
be
not.
historic.
It is not. The rest of the code, yes, but nothing that comes from the jurisdiction of this
Right.
group, okay?
It's just everything on the interior.
Yes, yes, yeah, I think someone can give you the, there you go.
And I'm not arguing by any
Okay,
means.
right,
I'm
no,
just-
no, just so you understand that,
Right.
yes, there is, those three LED signs that you mentioned are not exceptions to the zone, they are not actually governed by the zone.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's the real issue.
Yeah, I was just trying to state that, you know, somebody driving
I
through
understand.
it's not
I
like
understand.
it's a neon sign stuck in the middle of
Right,
Manchester.
no, you're
Is
absolutely
what I
right.
was trying to state.
I understand. Somebody driving through would not know that this side is historic zone and this side isn't.
Yes, sir.
On Highway 41, I get that, I get
Right,
that, okay,
right.
okay.
And that's why I was saying with facing 41, it's, I know it's still in the zone, but it's not like it's facing interior around the square. It would be more on Highway 41, and it would be between our building and the road, you know, so. I was just trying to clarify, thank you for that.
Okay, sure.
But yes, this is a significant investment, but like I said, I think it would really complement the downtown area, and we can use it to help bring people in.
I'm gonna try to show you guys the historic zone, since we're talking about it.
Is this still just a discussion today, or are we voting on something?
So, I believe, that we need to make a decision on the signage, because in December, I give up, we approved the building itself and deferred the signage due to the lighted sign. And of course, January, we did not meet. So our agenda states final review of lighted signage requests, so I believe that we all need to make a recommendation to approve or disapprove, or approve pending ordinance change or stipulations. I would like some
Like
form
to
of
put some
decision
sort
to
of
be
vote,
made,
decision
and
to
I
be
feel
made.
like you would as well.
That was gonna be my next question. Should we discuss changing the historic zoning ordinance?
Can I ask that Mr. McIntosh is here, and with a letter that he wants to be read into, representing a group, with a letter he wants to be read into the minutes, which specifically talks about what you
Okay.
just asked, okay?
And Brittany, wasn't the monument sign approved, or was it just the building? when we met?
Yes.
Because I think,
Yes.
It was
I think you were
building,
Yeah.
okay, weren't you? with-
Yeah,
We
and
were
I think
we were
that they
okay with
were
the
okay
monument
with
sign,
monument
just
sign,
just
but-
not the LED component.
Right.
I just put the term
Yes,
signage.
that's correct.
Because they were kind of all connected. so.
Yeah, but I just want to clarify that,
Yes,
because
you
I thought that's what I.
you are
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
You are correct. The rest of the sign was approved, just not the LED component.
If there's some concerns about an LED sign as to like why you don't want them on, maybe they do more than you think, or they're brighter than you think, or there's not as much control as you think. If you have concerns about, why you don't want an LED sign downtown or at his location, maybe I could help address some of those concerns, if you have any of those.
Yeah, he is the expert in this field.
Okay, good.
It's not really the concern about the sign, it's the fact that it's written in our ordinance, and it's written twice.
Right.
So, that's there for a reason, and
Sorry.
so, I mean, as Brittany stated earlier, I think that it's out of our hands. This is with the state, it would have to be consulted with the state.
I guess I was asking in case you were considering a change to the ordinance. If
Right,
there were some
so-
concerns that you had.
So they,
Which might be
they
answered.
could vote to send with recommendation to the board an amendment to the municipal code. So that's what we're referring to when we say it's just not allowed, is we're referring to what's written in our municipal code. And as you stated, there are other signs in the historic zone that probably are not compliant, but just because there's existing nonconformance doesn't mean we want to continue to approve that. So I feel like, moving forward, we really want to do it by what is written. And if we want to approve this sign, I think that we also have to send to the board a recommendation to alter the municipal code by ordinance.
Are you simply talking about the Board of Mayor and Aldermen
Yeah.
right now? Okay.
Yeah. So it would, so if we wanted to change what was in the municipal code, which is the text that we're all looking at, it has to be changed by ordinance, and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen have the ultimate final say on that. And there's a public hearing and things like that, because it's part of our municipal code. Just like rezoning or something like that we do at the planning commission level.
So who was gonna share something?
I'll let him introduce himself.
All right.
Hey, I am Larry McIntosh, and appreciate you letting me come and speak this evening. I've served for a little while on this commission, so I appreciate the work you do. And People's Bank, I want to say I don't have anything personal against the bank. I think your bank building is the most beautiful building in Manchester, especially at night. It's beautiful. However, right now, I am currently the president of the Gulf County Historical Society, and I've been asked to come and read a letter from the society. So here goes. The board of the Gulf County Historical Society is pleased to welcome People's Bank back to the historic Manchester Square. People's was an integral part of the life of downtown Manchester for many years, and will no doubt continue its good service to the city's citizens and visitors with its new ATM to be built on the corner of Irwin and Main Streets and bordering US Highway 41. This location is within Manchester's historic district. The Society's board foresees the ATM as a positive addition to the square that will be a complement to the local shops and restaurants in the downtown area, and is pleased that the ATM has been approved by the Historic, Zoning, and City Planning Commissions. However, while we recognize the bank's long history of service to the Manchester community, the board of the Gulf County Historical Society asked the members of Manchester's Historic Zoning Commission to deny People's request for variance to City Ordinance 14-621, which establishes the city's historic zone as well as the procedures for the zone's implementation. The moving lights of the proposed digital LED sign at the People's Bank ATM are in conflict with City Ordinance 14-621, subsection 7G1, which prohibits signs with lights that flash, grow, or change colors. Furthermore, since granting a variance can only be accomplished through changing the current language of the ordinance and would require approval by the Manchester Board of Mayor and Aldermen, this change would set an untenable precedent of changing the ordinance on an ad hoc basis. Respectfully, Gulf County Historical Society Board.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I just want to
Shall we
address,
vote?
again, the sign can not flash, not vary in light. It can be just a still static image that doesn't change the intensity and doesn't do any of the things in your letter there that they had a problem with it doing.
Are you allowed to take questions from taxpayers?
Yes.
Does that mean that your sign will never change? It will be welcome to historic Manchester, and that will be it, or whatever you choose? So it will, in effect, change?
The image can.
I'm just asking,
Yes.
will it change?
Yes, the image will change,
Okay, so,
but it's not flashing.
but it will change?
Yes, but it's
Okay,
instant.
that's it, thank you.
Well, what about your time and temp? How does a time and temp not change?
That's not my question.
I know, but it's the same reference.
But I can't answer that because that wasn't my question. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess we have to find out if there's more discussion to be had, and what are we voting on? Are we voting on, I guess we need to decide what we're voting on. Are we-
Right. I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah, how do we proceed from here? Okay.
It seems like when you have an historic district, there's always that tough decision about bringing 21st century or current stuff into the old fabric and trying to maintain the old fabric. In college, I took a lot of historic preservation courses, and there's right ways to do it and there are wrong ways to do it. And I visited Winchester not too long ago, and probably one of the coolest buildings on the square is ugly because of the black tower, glass tower that they put up. There's a right way to do that, not replicating history, but being sensitive to history, and there's a wrong way to do it. And I think in this situation here, it's wonderful that you have a sign. I love the People's Bank brick curved thing with the external illuminating light, but I think that the internally illuminated fixture light is just not appropriate as a way to connect this to the 21st century, to make a statement. You said at the start, it's the tallest sign, and it's the keystone to the historic area. It better work. It better be sensitive to what we're all about in terms of historic stuff. And I'll be the first to say, it's sad that people have broken the law, broken the code, and have put signs up there that aren't compatible with the fabric of the historic area. I would hate to see something like this come forward where it now just becomes the
Domino effect.
the way it happens. It's just everybody's just gonna have internally illuminated signs, whether they flash or don't flash or whatever. Personally, to me, it's not the right solution for this area in this context.
Very well said.
That's just, again, based on my experience with dealing with historic districts. You don't have to copy stuff, but you do have to have a sensitivity about what we're trying to do here, what's going on here.
And I think what y'all are doing here without, and I think I said it last time, without the LED sign can be successful for y'all. And it can also draw attention to the downtown area without the LED sign. And does anybody else?
I think that curved brick element is wonderful. As an externally illuminated sign, it's sensitive, it's classy, it's tasteful. That's what I think that corner needs.
Agreed.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If you want to make a statement about Manchester, do it that way.
It's definitely gonna make a statement compared to,
A empty
that-
parking lot or,
well,
bare
or
parking
the
lot.
frame that hasn't been used for a long time.
I don't know about that, what that is.
That's the old People's Bank sign.
Yeah.
Years ago.
But it will be an improvement, and I do think that, that makes a statement, and it will advertise for your bank.
I'm wanting more, though, to advertise for the community. That's what we're about, Ellen. And promoting to the community. I can promote the bank in many ways, with paper, radio, whatever, which we do. But I think it's a unique opportunity to help highlight downtown Manchester and the community.
I appreciate that sentiment.
Yeah. This has been my home for 44 years, and I have a lot of compassion for Manchester, and I want to see it to grow in the right ways. If you don't have growth, we're dying. That means they're going to other communities and getting things that we don't have. So we want to help contribute to the good growth in Manchester and help promote a good and safe environment.
And we appreciate that, as I do as well. But I think we're ready to make a motion.
Yeah, I do too.
Can I
Go ahead.
just add one thing. The thing that Brittany was talking about in terms of variance, I can't speak for the Board of Zoning Appeals, but I will say that it's very, very limited about variances being approved. I mean, you have to meet some very unique conditions in order for a variance to be approved. Does it mean we don't do it? Yeah, we do, but sometimes we're crossing the line. And I don't think that there's enough unique situation here about this site and the project that it would get approved as a variance. That's just my gut feeling. But, if we want to go down that road and throw it in front
I
of
would
them.
like to have the opportunity to go down that road, if it's possible.
Okay, okay. I'm putting that out for us to think about if we want to do that.
Or
I don't know if we don't have to do it.
How would that process work, Brittany?
Yeah,
Would-
that's what I was
would-
gonna
Would
ask.
Mr. Callahan file for the variance, or did we do that?
That would go through a different board entirely, it'd go through the Board of Zoning Appeals.
And Mr. Callahan would be responsible for filing for that variance, for requesting it. It would
That's
not, what I'm saying is that request for variance would not come from this body, is that correct?
That's correct, it'd go
Okay.
through the Board of Zoning Appeals, or AKA the Planning Commission essentially.
So how does this matter end then with us?
I have to check on that, I don't know that we've ever had a variance filed for something within the historic zone.
Yeah, this is new for me as well.
Didn't we for the murals, or was that just a new ordinance that we added?
I think
Were you here
that
for that?
I was here, but I was not here.
Right.
I wasn't over this, so I think that there was a change for the,
Mhm.
like you guys brought up,
It was
a whole
it
new
was a process.
requirements for those.
Mhm.
If,
So I
So
would
is
have
there,
to
is
If
there
it-
two, is there two different processes? So is there one to get the code changed through the Board of Mayor and Alderman, and then a second option would be getting, are there two options that he has to go down here?
That's kind of what I am thinking, yes, is there's a potential for a variance, but like I said, I have to check on it, considering there's two different boards for such. And then there's potential of the municipal code getting changed altogether.
Mr. Phillip may be interested in what that process would entail and how that would play into tonight's decision.
So we discussed that at the December meeting, I think, Mr. Sadler that was here with you at that time.
No, I wasn't here in December, I'm sorry.
Right, so he was here on your behalf. He suggested altering the regulations, basically limiting the lighted signage to only properties along 41 or something of that sort. Basically allowing it, but limiting it to where it's allowed within the historic district. I think you guys didn't really seem interested in that, or,
we didn't want to pursue that.
right,
We
so,
weren't.
but I mean, that was another option.
That's
And
slippery
that
slope
included
again.
changing the municipal code, like I was saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not, on a variance within the historic zone, I will have to check on. I really don't know if it has to come as a recommendation from you all, or if it goes strictly through the Board of Zoning Appeals. I will have to check on that. But I do think that an application for such would be possible. I just don't know which board you have to go through, or if you need to go through both commissions.
So just to be clear, if this board denies this, the applicant still has an opportunity to apply for a variance, to have it reconsidered.
I think that that's probably the correct process.
Okay.
And back to my last question, does the applicant have the ability to request the change through the Board of Mayor and Alderman, or does that have to come from?
So that has to come as a recommendation from a committee or commission, as far as I know.
So it would come back to us?
It would be, you all would recommend that change to the board, and I would send it to Craig. as an
Oh,
ordinance
okay,
and
I
things
got
like
it,
that.
I got it.
The way I understand it is we would draft the wording as a proposal draft and then submit it to the
You would
board.
send it with the
And
positive
then we have to go through a
recommendation.
couple of readings there before it actually became a part of the ordinance, is that correct?
And so that's where I was kind of looping back to, if there were some concerns about the digital sign, we could address those. You can limit how much time there has to be. You say, hey, you gotta leave a slide up there for at least 8 seconds, which is the state law for advertising billboards, or 10 seconds, or whatever. But you can limit the brightness. State that it has to have an ambient light sensor so it dims down at night, so you're not, so So there's lots of things that you could do in that code to limit some of your concerns, which is, I'm sure you don't want LED displays all over, the downtown Manchester. And, by wording that in certain ways, you can eliminate that concern if that is a concern. So there's things that you could put in that code that would allow it in certain circumstances, and you would have the control in the code to say how long you want the signs to stay up, how bright it needs to be, no animations, no movement, no flashing lights, so you have control over how that digital sign could be used if you did allow it.
Okay, good to know.
Ready to motion?
Well, I'll make the motion. I make a motion that we disallow this sign as proposed right now. And on the grounds of the way the ordinance is currently worded. All right? And enforce that as it is currently worded. Understanding that Mr. Callahan has the option to take a couple of different courses of action, including apply for a variance, which is perfectly within his right to do that. And at the same time, as just, we vote on this, I would propose that we reject this the way it is right now. But at the same time, let's put in the minutes and make note that we really do need to revisit the wording of this, because we've stumbled on this before. Okay, this is not the first time that we've actually had discussions about flashing lights and changing colors and internally lit and all kinds of stuff. And at least in my opinion, it needs to be clarified. It's still just a little too vague. And so I would like to, at some future point, we discuss tightening that down.
We just make that an agenda item, or what, how do we do that?
How is it too vague? I'm curious.
Well, I have, okay. Let's go back to some of these precedents that we've had before, and not to bore the people that are here. I was on the commission when the business that was ahead in the location where Kami is now, and I don't remember what the business was that was prior to that. Yeah, thank you. Okay. They put up their sign, and this was when Jamie was still over codes, okay? Okay, you were not in these meetings, okay? All right. They put up the sign without any kind of request for approval. It just suddenly showed up. And we called them in to review the sign because it was backlit, okay? And we called them in to review the sign because in the way we read the coding, that was not permitted. A lighted sign was not permitted, and that's the way the commission read the code. But when we got into the meeting, I specifically recall Jamie said that the way he read it is as long as it didn't flash or change color or strobe or change intensity, that it was well within bounds. And so because we're just within that group, there was enough vagueness that we said, okay, we'll allow it. And that's how that particular sign became kind of a precedent for us, if I recall correctly. Okay, do you remember this, Ellen? Okay, all right. And that was how that became one of the precedent signs. And then from that point on, now it's just, it has seemed to have not, there have been other issues about it, okay? When Express Employment Service applied more recently, the sign that they wanted to move and incorporate was by design internally lit, and we disallowed that, and they complied by saying that was okay, that they would just hang it without the internal lighting. So you see, we've got some. If you go back and research where this commission has voted on these signs in the past, we're gonna see some variances here, okay? So,
And I think when you read this, internally illuminated electronic programmable neon changeable copies that flash, change color, scroll. Sometimes we get a sign that does all that.
yes, right.
And All we're saying is it's one or the other one, or other, you know, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's how Jamie read that. If it's doing it's just doing one of those things.
Right.
It's just doing one of those
And-
things, so
and-
how could it be,
yes,
how could it
yes.
be not meeting code or whatever?
And see, that's,
You know what I mean?
and that in itself speaks to my point about how vague this is, because you could read it both ways.
Yeah, if it's internally illuminated, but it's not
Yeah.
programmable, it's not neon, it's not this, and it's, you know, is that okay?
Yeah, right. So, see, we don't know.
I got it. I
Okay,
see,
so you see where I'm coming from? We don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
His current sign doesn't illuminate any different than what he didn't allow for the express, whatever it is. in
That
your
is,
corner.
you're absolutely correct.
Well, they unplugged theirs, they said they're not gonna hook up electricity
You're
to it.
absolutely
Right, but Cammy's was approved.
Cammy's was Cammy's approved?
It was approved, but is it internally illuminated?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
there was that sort of
Hey, is
We
it
set a-
changing
we
color?
set-
Is
we
it
set
doing
a
all, is it
precedent.
doing all these things, or is it, yeah?
Was Coffee Cafe, was it lighted
I can't recall.
on? No.
I can't recall.
I think Coffee Cafe was.
It was channel lettered and designed to light, but I can't tell you if it was ever actually lit. But it was. a
Because for
design
some
that was
reason I'm-
designed to be lit.
Remembering that it, for some reason, was grandfathered in because of what Coffee Cafe had done.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it could-
anyway.
We'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but you're
Yes.
possibly right, okay.
Would
Could be that.
his property be grandfathered in since he had it prior to?
No,
or-
we're not going back to that. But I'll second your motion.
Okay, that we vote to disallow this as proposed, even, okay, tonight, with the understanding that he still has the privilege to go through a request of variance, okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right. So. Keep a copy of the letter so I can push that in the minutes as well. Oh, I have one. Thank you. Just want everyone to know that the letter from the Historical Society will be copied into the minutes. Okay, so we have that as well.
And you're gonna make a note in the minutes that we're gonna try and revisit some of this language?
Yes, at some point, I think we should revisit this language outside of any specific.
Just like a work session type thing?
Just have a work session and revisit this language outside of the impetus of any specific request.
Okay.
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 I did not bring one, sir.
Hope this works.
Do we have a new discussion?
No,
Thank you.
no. I don't think so.
Ooh. Kinda went wonky on me.
Is there another agenda item?
That's what I was
Just the
wondering.
discussion, so I don't think that a motion or a vote of any sort is needed, so I'm not sure how much more you guys want to discuss it.
Ricky, could I get a copy of what was approved previously?
Yes, yes, I'll send you this application, it's got some wonky notes on
Nice
it.
pen.
I'll send it to you and it has the,
What was the
50
question? I missed that. I was trying to get your pen to work.
yeah, so what I did, is I
You wanna
took
do
that
old
previous
business?
If you want
application
to, I don't
and I
know that
just
we have
kind of
any.
edited it from tonight,
It
and
just,
I'll send
it
that
just
to you.
stays on the agenda all the time.
Yeah.
That's just a standard, item in case we have to have time to do it. Okay. Okay.
I know we probably don't want to do this meeting, but next meeting, maybe new board members.
When
Yes.
is the time for that? Are we?
I think, didn't you say it was coming up I think you said in December that we needed to start thinking about it.
Oh, new officers?
New
New
officers,
officers,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Officer,
I thought you were trying to get rid of me.
I meant officers.
Yeah, no problem.
I've been under the weather, so my brain isn't, I can't think of words. I'm better than
doesn't have a specific time frame as to when we're supposed to do it, but I'm not sure when we did it last.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if you all recall that.
I think
know.
maybe we talked about it,
So
but
our planning commission, rules, we state that we do it every January.
Mhm.
But it doesn't state that in here for us that I'm seeing right offhand.
Yeah.
Or if it is, it's somewhere else, not here where I'm looking. So those are all. So yeah, there are lots of things that probably need to be updated.
Okay. So do you want to, how about if we just propose to put that on the agenda for the next meeting? To
Yeah.
elect new
Election
officers?
officers.
Is that
Yeah.
okay? Election of
Yeah.
officers for the next meeting? Okay.
We kind of don't have old business. We kind of went over old business,
And
so.
also, we have a new member, Sarah,
Okay.
here, so glad she's here.
Hasn't been properly introduced.
No.
I'm Sarah.
Hi, sir.
Glad to be here.
Does everyone know Sarah?
I don't.
Well, okay.
Sarah Doak, she is the owner and head pharmacist of Baker Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. All right. Which is also a historic building.
Very historic.
I hear somebody's making a motion to adjourn.
I was gonna, that was my next question, thank you. Any more motion to
I
adjourn?
make a motion to
Really,
adjourn.
really eager to get this.
No, you're good.
Somebody has
Second
to
it.
second, somebody has to second.
Second. I second it.